But I wanted to ask about your thoughts on Nietzsche's Birth of Tragedy.
Oh yeah, that's a great book. Everyone knows the two forces he describes in that book are the Apollonian or whatever, and Dionysian. Kind of ties into what we're saying, both of them, I would say, but in different aspects. Obviously, they're two sides of the spectrum. Apollo is like the sun god. The actual myth is like he married a mortal, and that mortal cheated on him or whatever, so he killed the mortal, but he ended up saving his son, like from the mortal's like belly or whatever. Or something like that. And then his son became this healer and started bringing the dead back to life. And then Zeus, I think, killed his son or threw a lightning bolt and killed Apollo's son. And Apollo wanted to get back, so Apollo killed the Cyclops that created the Zeus's thunderbolts or lightning bolts, whatever. But I guess the point of that story is like both myths, the Apollon and the Dionysian or whatever, come from Greek like tragedy, I guess. Greek art, but also Greek art in general, especially according to Nietzsche, is kind of like a hybridization of those two aspects of human nature. Like the tree, that would be like the Apollonian, and then the like drunk, intoxicated like state he would attribute to Dionysus. Because, I mean, Dionysus himself, I think, and Zeus, just the sight of Zeus killed Dionysus's mom, just the sight alone, like burned her or something like that. And then I think Zeus like saved Dionysus from his mom's stomach, similar to how Apollo saved his son, but then Zeus stitched Dionysus into his like thigh or something. So Dionysus was like twice born, basically. So he's technically the son of Zeus, and Apollo's the son of Zeus as well. So they're like half brothers, I guess. But these half brothers had very different paths. Dionysus was like a cult leader. He traveled the world like spreading ideas about like wine and how to do magic. And he's the reason like Midas could turn stuff to gold. And yeah, just like a partier, I guess. And Apollo is more of the artistic, disciplined version.
Why are these gods in beef?
I don't know. I mean, I'm very limited on like, I don't even know if they met. Do you know if they met? I'm not sure. I guess they're just two sides of the coin of human nature. For some reason, Nietzsche, he's the one that kind of systematized those as like Apollo as the dreamlike, Dionysus as the drunken, intoxicated like aspects. But obviously that came up in Greek tragedy as well. But like, I guess they're just opposing forces, right? Like they're clearly opposite. At least to Nietzsche, you could argue they're not, but you can't carve a statue of like Zeus if you're drunk. You can only do that if you are in this dreamlike, focused, artistic state where you're drawing these mental forms from, the ether, basically. If you were drunk, you could maybe destroy a statue, and that in and of itself is kind of valuable. You wouldn't be able to destroy a statue, have that kind of visceral, emotive, empathetic quality if you were in the opposite state. So I would say they're just like innately dichotomous.
And is this dreamlike and the drunk? Is this kind of a form of human experience that he's trying to maybe symbolize?
Yeah, definitely. I would say like two aspects of like the human soul or something. So they underlie all of our experiences. And he thinks like the greatest art marries those two, in its form.
Is that it kind of have similarities to like heaven and hell?
Yeah, I could see that. Although neither are bad, like especially because you're supposed to combine them. But I guess I'm not religious, but I would say hell is obviously somewhere you don't want to go. And I wouldn't say that being Dionysian, living your life kind of intoxicated, and I don't think that would lead you to hell or something like that.
Yeah, way back, I think it just briefly dropped out. Let's see.
Well, you guys can cut parts out.
Exactly, yeah, that's the power of editing, is that he can dip like this and usually returns all right. I'll see.
Come on, wait, am I back?
Oh, he's back.
Sorry, my Riverside says connecting.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, I might leave and join again. Sorry about this.
Riverside is sometimes really temperamental. It works well because the video quality is so much higher, but it just does some weird shit sometimes. And sometimes I just join a call and suddenly the microphone just won't pick up my audio and have to like reset it 3 times.
Do you guys ever get nervous to do these?
Nervous. Only when like it's 2 minutes before a guest is going to arrive and then some random person is just going to drop into this call. Do you know what I mean? And then you got to just hit it off and start having a conversation. But not nervous to have a discussion, and definitely not if it's just me and Jacob.
Can you hear me and see me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Sorry, what was the last thing that you guys said?
What was it?
You're saying about these kind of two symbolic characters not being like either good or bad, but just being like two sides of a spectrum of what it means to be human and live life and stuff.
Oh yeah, I would say it's like a horseshoe, I guess, like, or an upside down horseshoe, where like if you're at like one side of the spectrum or the other exclusively, then you'll probably end up in hell. But if you're kind of like balanced in the middle, you're closer to heaven or you're closer to the divine, I would say. Yeah.
kind of like a chaos and order as well. You need a
Yeah,
little.
I was going to say that you need you can't. I think any extreme is bad in terms of a trait or a way to live life. If you so it's kind of like the opposite of being fluid, like water. It's like you freeze yourself into one, like this is the way I want to be, or this is the thing that I'm doing, and you don't remain adaptable. And really, because of the fact that we're largely you're not in control of how life can sort of twist and turn and change, you need to have both sides. You need to be a little bit chaotic and a little bit sort of intoxicated and free flowing and unambitious and float around a bit. But you need some structure, and you do need to be able to sort of discipline yourself and be able to focus. And it's the ability. I guess a lot of philosophy teaches about being able to be two things at once. I guess seemingly two different opposing like ways of living at once, like this being this fighter, but also being at a state of peace, like we talked about, or bringing intensity, but also being fluid, but allowing yourself to be chaotic, but also be disciplined and focused at times. It's like, can you be both of those things at once?